My dad kicked me out on Christmas Day because I wasted my life on my tech startup. My family had no idea that my failed company was worth $68 million until I froze them out completely. Now they're desperately trying to reconnect, but the son they disowned? He doesn't exist anymore. I, 31M, haven't spoken to my family in 3 years. Not since the Christmas. My father kicked me out of the house and told me not to come back until I got a real job and stopped embarrassing the family. Let me back up. I come from what you'd call an old money family. Not billionaire old money, but comfortable. My grandfather built a successful chain of car dealerships across the Midwest. My father expanded it, and the family business became the family identity. Every family gathering, every conversation, every measure of worth came down to the dealerships. My older brother, Brandon, 35M, is the golden child. He joined the family business right out of college, married a woman from another prominent local family, had 2 kids, bought a house in the right neighborhood, and basically lived the exact life my father had planned for all his children. My younger sister, Olivia, 27F, married a lawyer from a good family and became a stay-at-home mom, also living the approved life. Then there's me. I was always different. I was into computers, coding, video games, stuff my dad called waste of time nonsense. He wanted me to study business and join the dealership. I studied computer science. He was furious, but figured I'd grow out of it and come back to the family business eventually. I didn't. After college, I got a job as a software developer at a mid-sized company. The pay was decent, $75K to start, but it wasn't real money, according to my father. He'd make comments at every family gathering. When are you going to get serious about your career? Brandon just bought a lake house. What have you accomplished? Your sister's husband made partner, and you're still playing with computers? I ignore it mostly. I was good at what I did, and I liked it. But I wanted more. 5 years ago, my coworker, Derek, and I had an idea. We were working on a project at our company and realized there was a massive gap in the market for a specific type of B2B software. I won't get too technical, but it was basically a platform that would help medium-sized companies manage their supply chains more efficiently with AI integration. We built a prototype on nights and weekends. We tested it with some small companies. The response was incredible. We knew we had something. So we quit our jobs and went all in on the startup. We called it Chainlink Solutions. My family's reaction was not supportive. My dad: "You quit your job? Your stable job with benefits? To chase some pipe dream?" My mom: "Honey, most startups fail. Don't you think you should keep your job and do this on the side?" Brandon: "This is so typical of you. Always taking the irresponsible path. Some of us have families to support. We can't just quit our jobs and play entrepreneur." Olivia: "I hope you know what you're doing. Don't come crying to us when this doesn't work out." But Derek and I were determined. We maxed out our credit cards. We lived on ramen and slept on air mattresses in a tiny apartment to save money. We worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week. We launched the beta version. We got our first client, a $10,000 contract. Then another. Then a bigger one. Within 8 months, we had 20 clients and $500,000 in revenue. We needed to scale, so we sought investment. We pitched to angel investors, VCs, anyone who would listen. Most passed. But we finally found a VC firm that believed in us. They gave us $2 million in seed funding. That was 4 years ago. During this time, my relationship with my family deteriorated. Every family event was the same. "How's your little computer thing going? Are you making any money yet, or just burning through investor cash?" Brandon just expanded to 3 new dealership locations. "What have you accomplished? When are you going to admit this was a mistake and come work for the family business? There's always a place for you." I tried to explain what we were building, the traction we were getting, the potential. They didn't want to hear it. In their minds, if you weren't working a traditional job or in the family business, you were a failure. The worst was my dad. He'd introduce me to people as, "This is my son, who's still trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life." He was embarrassed by me. At my nephew's birthday party, I heard him tell another parent, "Brandon runs the family business. Olivia married well. And this one, well, We're still hopeful he'll find his way. I was 28 years old, running a company with $5 million in annual revenue, and my father was telling people I hadn't found my way. But I kept my head down. Derek and I were too busy building to worry about my family's opinions. We raised a Series A round, $8 million. Then Series B, $25 million. Our revenue was exploding. We were hiring like crazy. We moved into a real office. We were landing major clients, Fortune 500 companies. But I didn't tell my family any of this. What was the point? They'd made it clear they thought I was a failure. I stopped trying to explain or defend myself. I just stopped talking about work at family events. Which brings me to 3 years ago. Christmas Day. I showed up to my parents' house for the family gathering. I'd been working insane hours. We were in the middle of closing a major deal with a huge client, plus we were in talks with potential acquirers. I was exhausted, but trying to be present for family. The day was the usual. Brandon bragging about dealership sales. Olivia showing off her kids' expensive gifts. My mom fussing over everyone. And my dad holding court, talking about the family legacy. At one point, my aunt asked me how work was going. Before I could answer, my dad jumped in. Oh, he's still doing his computer startup thing. No real income, no stability, no plan. But he's following his passion. He said it with such contempt. Actually, I said, keeping my voice level, the company is doing well. We just define doing well, Brandon interrupted. Because from what I can tell, you're still driving a 10-year-old car and renting an apartment. That doesn't scream success. Material possessions aren't the only measure of success. My dad snorted. Says every person who doesn't have any. You know what success looks like? It looks like Brandon. 3 dealerships, a family, a house, stability. That's success. Your little tech thing is a hobby that you're too old to still be pursuing. It's not a hobby. It's a company with employees and clients and revenue. My dad challenged. How much revenue? I hesitated. We were in the middle of sensitive negotiations. I'd signed NDAs. I couldn't talk specifics. I can't disclose exact numbers, but… Of course you can't, my dad said. Because there's nothing to disclose. You're living off investor money, pretending to run a business. When are you going to grow up and get a real job? This is a real job. A real job has a salary, benefits, a 401k. What do you have? Equity in a company that probably won't exist in 2 years? That's not a plan. That's a fantasy. You don't understand the tech industry. I understand business. I built a business with my hands, with hard work, not by chasing some Silicon Valley pipe dream. And I understand family. Brandon understands family. He's here, building his life near us, contributing to the family legacy. What are you contributing? Embarrassment. The room went quiet. Everyone was staring. I think you should leave, my dad said. I'm tired of watching you waste your life. Come back when you've accomplished something real. Until then, I don't want to hear about your little computer games. Dad, my mom started. No. He needs to hear this. He's 28 years old, and he has nothing to show for it. No wife, no kids, no house, no real career. He's an embarrassment to this family. I didn't raise my son to be a perpetual child playing startup. I stood up. I was shaking from anger, from hurt, I don't know. You want to know what I've accomplished? You want to know what I'm building? You couldn't even begin to understand because you've never once asked with genuine interest. You've only ever told me I'm a disappointment. Because you are, my dad yelled. Look at your brother. Look at your sister. They've built real lives. I've built something too. You just refuse to see it. Then enlighten me. What have you built? Give me one concrete thing. I almost told him then. Almost threw the numbers in his face. But I stopped. Because I realized, why? Why should I prove myself to someone who's spent years telling me I'm worthless? Why give him the satisfaction? Nothing you'd value, I said quietly. Merry Christmas. I left. My mom called after me, but I didn't stop. That was the last time I spoke to any of them. I blocked their numbers. I deleted social media. I cut them off completely. And you know what? It was liberating. Without the constant weight of their disapproval, I threw myself even harder into Chainlink. And we absolutely crushed it. 6 months after that Christmas, we were acquired by a major tech company for $68 million. Let me say that again. $68 million. Derek and I, as co-founders with 40% equity each after dilution, each walked away with about $27 million before taxes. Even after taxes, I personally cleared around $18 million. At 29 years old, I became a multi-millionaire overnight. I could have reached out to my family then, could have rubbed it in their faces. But I didn't. What would be the point? The money didn't change what they'd said to me. It didn't undo years of being told I was a failure. Instead, I stayed quiet. I took some time off, traveled, decompressed, processed everything. Then Derek and I started planning our next venture. We used our money to angel invest in other startups, to advise young founders, to build a portfolio. I also finally bought some nice things. Not to show off, but because I could. I bought a beautiful house in a different state, a modern place with a home office and a view. I bought a Tesla. I invested heavily in a diversified portfolio. I set myself up for long-term financial security, but I didn't post about any of it. I kept my life private. As far as anyone from my old life knew, I'd just disappeared. About a year after the acquisition, my mom somehow got my new number, probably through an old mutual friend. She left a voicemail. "Honey, it's Mom. We haven't heard from you in so long. Your father's been asking about you. Please call us back. We miss you." I didn't call back. 6 months later, another voicemail. "It's been over a year. We're worried about you. Brandon tried to find you online but couldn't. Where are you? What are you doing? Please just let us know you're okay." I sent a single text. "I'm fine. Living my life. Don't contact this number again." She responded, "Why are you being like this? We're your family. Whatever happened at Christmas, we can work through it." Whatever happened at Christmas, like it was some minor disagreement. Like my father didn't kick me out and call me an embarrassment. I didn't respond. I blocked the new number. Then, about 2 years after the acquisition, something changed. Apparently, an article ran in a major tech publication about successful startup acquisitions in the past few years. Chainlink Solutions was mentioned. The article included names of the co-founders, me and Derek. It mentioned the acquisition price. It discussed what we were doing now with our angel investments. Suddenly, my phone started blowing up from numbers I didn't recognize. I later learned through a mutual friend that my family had seen the article. Someone had sent it to them. "Isn't this your son?" My dad apparently didn't believe it at first. He thought it was a different person with the same name. But Brandon did some digging, LinkedIn, public records, whatever he could find, and confirmed it was me. I was the son they'd called a failure. The one who was told to get a real job. The embarrassment. And I'd sold my company for $68 million. The voicemail started. From my mom. "We saw the article. We're so proud of you. Why didn't you tell us? Please call us. We want to celebrate with you." From Brandon. "Hey man, saw the news about Chainlink. That's incredible. We should grab dinner, catch up. I had no idea you were doing that well." From Olivia. "Oh my God, you sold your company. That's amazing. The kids would love to see their uncle. When can you visit?" Even my dad left a message. "Son, I saw the article about your company. I didn't realize the scale of what you'd built. I may have been too harsh before. Let's talk." I didn't respond to any of them, but they didn't stop. More messages. More attempts to reach out. They found my email somehow. They sent letters to my old apartment forwarded to me. "My mom, please don't shut us out. We want to be part of your life. We made mistakes, but we're still family." Brandon. "Look, I get that things ended badly. But that was years ago. Let's move past it. There are some investment opportunities with the dealerships I'd love to discuss with you." There it was. Investment opportunities. My sister was more direct in her letter. "The kids' private school tuition is really expensive. If you're in a position to help family, we'd really appreciate it. That's what family does, right? And my dad, in a typed letter that probably took him hours to write, I was wrong about your career path. I didn't understand the tech industry. You've proven yourself. You've built something significant. I'm proud of you. I hope we can reconnect, and I can make up for lost time. The family business is doing well, but with your expertise and capital, we could expand in ways I never imagined. Let's talk about the future. I read that letter 3 times, looking for an actual apology, looking for acknowledgement of what he'd said to me, how he'd treated me. But it wasn't there. Just I was wrong about your career path, and then immediately into how I could help the family business. He wasn't sorry for calling me an embarrassment. He was sorry he'd underestimated my earning potential. I burned the letter. The harassment continued for months. They tried everything. Showing up at my old apartment. I'd long since moved, contacting Derek. He told them to fuck off, bless him, reaching out to old friends of mine, who told them they hadn't heard from me in years, even hiring a private investigator apparently, though he didn't find me since I'd moved states. Finally, I had my lawyer send a cease and desist letter. Formal, legal, clear. Stop contacting me. Stop trying to find me. Any further harassment would result in a restraining order. That worked. The messages stopped. But the story doesn't end there. About 6 months ago, I was in my old hometown for a business meeting. I was advising a startup in the area, and they wanted to meet in person. I figured after 3 years, the chances of running into family were slim. I was wrong. I was leaving a restaurant after the meeting when I literally bumped into Brandon. He was with his wife and kids. He recognized me immediately. Holy shit. It's really you. Brandon. Wow, you look good. Different. Is that a Rolex? I glanced at my watch. Yeah. Nice. Look, man, it's been forever. The family's been trying to reach you. Did you not get any of the messages? I got them. Then why didn't you respond? Nothing to say. His wife was staring at me like I was a celebrity. His kids looked confused. They barely remembered me. Come on, don't be like that. We're family. Water under the bridge, right? Dad's been wanting to see you. I'm sure he has. Now that I'm worth talking to. That's not fair. Isn't it? 3 years ago, he kicked me out on Christmas and called me an embarrassment. Told me to get a real job. Said I was a failure. Now I'm worth talking to because I have money. He didn't mean, he meant every word. And you all agreed with him. You sat there and watched him tear me apart, and none of you said a word in my defense. We were just worried about you. No, you weren't. You were embarrassed by me. I wasn't living up to the family image. I wasn't successful by your narrow definition. So I was expendable. Now I'm not, and suddenly you want a relationship. It's not like that. Then what's it like, Brandon? Explain it to me. Why now? Why, after 3 years of silence, are you standing here trying to reconnect? He was quiet for a moment. Then, okay, fine. Maybe we didn't appreciate what you were doing. Maybe we didn't understand. But we're trying now. Isn't that worth something? Not to me. So that's it? You're just going to cut us off forever? We're your family. Family doesn't kick you out on Christmas. Family doesn't call you a failure. Family doesn't only show interest when you become wealthy. You're not my family. You're people I used to know. His wife jumped in. That's a terrible attitude. Family is family no matter what. You should forgive and move on. I looked at her. This woman I barely knew, who'd always looked down on me at family events, who'd made snide comments about my bohemian lifestyle. Did you know, I said calmly, that at your wedding, you told someone in my earshot that I was Brandon's disappointment of a brother, and you were glad your family was normal? She went pale. Yeah, I heard that. I've heard a lot over the years. All the little comments, the dismissive attitudes, the contempt. You all thought I couldn't hear, or didn't care. But I heard everything. And I remembered. Look, Brandon said. We screwed up. We admit it. What do you want from us? Groveling? We're trying to make things right. I don't want anything from you. That's the point. I don't need your approval anymore. I don't need your validation. I don't need anything you have to offer. I'm happy. I'm successful. I'm living a life I'm proud of. And none of you are part of it. You're being incredibly selfish, his wife said. I laughed. I'm selfish? Olivia sent me a letter asking for money for her kids' tuition. Brandon, your first message mentioned investment opportunities. Dad's letter spent 2 paragraphs on how I could help expand the dealerships. Nobody just wanted to reconnect. Everyone wanted something. That's not true, Brandon started. Isn't it? Tell me, Brandon. Right now, honestly, if I wasn't worth $18 million, would you be standing here trying to reconnect? He opened his mouth, closed it. That's not fair. It's a yes or no question. It's more complicated than that. No, it's really not. You didn't give a shit about me when I was just a software developer. You didn't defend me when Dad called me an embarrassment. You piled on with your own condescending comments. Now I have money, and suddenly I'm worth your time. That's not family. That's opportunism. So what? We're just done? Forever. We've been done for 3 years. You're just now noticing. I walked away. Brandon called after me, but I didn't turn around. That night, I got a message from my mom. Brandon had told her about the encounter. I can't believe you ran into Brandon and didn't even tell us you were in town. We would have loved to see you. Please, can we talk? Really talk? Your father wants to apologize properly. I responded. He had 3 years to apologize. Instead, he waited until he found out I was wealthy. That tells me everything I need to know about how sincere he is. He's proud of you. He just doesn't know how to say it. He knew how to say, I was an embarrassment. He managed that just fine. He was wrong. We all were. But we're trying to make it right. You can't make this right. You can't undo 3 years of making me feel worthless. You can't undo Christmas. You can't undo a lifetime of treating me like I didn't measure up. The only thing that's changed is my bank account. I'm the same person I was before. If I wasn't worth your time then, I'm not interested in your time now. Money isn't everything. You're right. It's not. But it's the only reason you're reaching out. If I'd stayed in tech and made a comfortable salary but nothing spectacular, would any of you be trying this hard to reconnect?
She didn't respond.
The truth is, I know the answer. If I was making $150,000 a year as a senior developer, living in a nice but modest house, driving a regular car, comfortable but not wealthy, they wouldn't care. I'd still be the disappointment who didn't join the family business. I'd still be the one they made excuses for at family events. But $68 million? That changes things. That makes me interesting. That makes me useful. And I refuse to be useful to people who spent years making me feel useless. Last month, I got one final attempt. A letter from my father, handwritten this time. Son, I'm an old man now, and I'm looking at my legacy. I built a business I'm proud of, but I'm not proud of how I treated you. You were different from what I expected, and instead of celebrating that, I tried to force you into a mold you didn't fit. That was wrong. I've watched Brandon run the dealerships, and he's good at it. But he doesn't have vision. He doesn't innovate. He does what I taught him, and that's it. You were the one with vision. You saw opportunities where I saw risk. You built something from nothing. That takes courage. I didn't have at your age. I'm sorry I called you an embarrassment. I'm sorry I kicked you out. I'm sorry I couldn't see what you were building. I was blind, and I was cruel. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to welcome me back into your life. But I want you to know that I see now what I couldn't see then. You're exceptional. You always were. I just didn't have the wisdom to recognize it. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. I should have said it every day. But I'm saying it now, even if it's too late. Your father. I read that letter a dozen times. It's the closest thing to a real apology I've gotten from any of them. And maybe in another life it would be enough. Maybe if the wound wasn't so deep, if the hurt wasn't so fundamental, I could accept it and move forward. But I can't. Because the truth is, that letter? It still came after he found out about the money. It still came after 3 years of silence. It still came when I was successful by his standards. Where was this reflection when I was working 16-hour days in a cramped apartment, eating ramen, building something from nothing? Where was this pride when I got my first client, my first round of funding, my first major contract? He only saw me once I was undeniably successful in a way he couldn't dismiss. That's not growth. That's just recognizing a winner when it's obvious. I didn't respond to the letter. Instead, I focused on what matters. Derek and I just closed our first major investment as angels, a promising AI startup that we think could be huge. I bought a vacation home in Colorado. I'm dating someone incredible who knew me before the money and doesn't care about it. I'm living my best life, surrounded by people who valued me before I had millions in the bank. My family wanted a relationship when I became someone they could be proud of by their standards. But I don't need their pride anymore. I'm proud of myself, and that's worth more than all the reconciliation attempts in the world. Edit, update, 6 months later. I debated posting an update, but since so many people have reached out with support and their own stories, I figured I'd share what's happened since. The short version: my family didn't give up. About 3 months ago, I received notice that my father had suffered a stroke. It wasn't fatal, but it was serious. He was in the hospital, then rehab, and his long-term prognosis wasn't great. My mom sent me the information through my lawyer, the only channel I hadn't completely closed. The message was simple: your father had a stroke.
He's asking for you.
Please come.
I didn't go.
I know how that sounds. Trust me, I've wrestled with it. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't show up in his moment of vulnerability when he didn't show up for any of mine. I couldn't give him the absolution he was seeking just because he was sick. Some family friends reached out, people I hadn't heard from in years, all with the same message: life is short. He's your father. You should visit. But here's what none of them understood. My father died to me 3 years ago when he kicked me out. The man in that hospital bed was a stranger who happened to share my DNA. That said, his stroke apparently triggered something in my siblings. Brandon sent a long email, not asking for money this time, but actually reflecting. He admitted that he'd enjoyed being the favorite. He admitted that he'd looked down on me because it made him feel superior. He admitted that seeing my success had made him question his own life choices. He'd done everything right, according to our parents' standards, and yet he felt empty. I have everything Dad wanted for me, he wrote, and I'm miserable. I work 60 hours a week at dealerships I don't care about, married to someone I'm not sure I even like anymore, living a life that looks perfect on paper but feels hollow. Meanwhile, you took risks, followed your passion, and built something meaningful. And we shit all over you for it. I'm sorry. It was the most honest thing Brandon had ever said to me. I responded, I appreciate the honesty. I hope you find what makes you happy. But that doesn't change what happened. I needed a brother 3 years ago. I needed someone to stand up for me. You didn't. I can forgive that, but I can't forget it. I wish you well, but from a distance. Olivia was different. She sent a message that was basically, I don't understand why you're punishing us. We're family. Family forgives. You're being stubborn and letting pride ruin relationships. Some people never learn. The biggest shock came from my mother. She showed up at my house. I don't know how she got my address. Private investigator, maybe. Or she finally convinced someone who knew to tell her. But there she was, standing on my doorstep, looking older and smaller than I remembered. Before you close the door, she said quickly, please just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and if you want me to leave after that, I will, and I'll never bother you again. I almost said no, but something in her face. I let her in. We sat in my living room. She looked around, at the modern furniture, the art on the walls, the floor-to-ceiling windows with mountain views. You've done well for yourself, she said quietly. I have. I'm not here to ask for anything. I'm not here to convince you to come back. I'm just here to say something I should have said 3 years ago. I'm sorry. You've said that before. No, I've said, I'm sorry things ended badly, or I'm sorry your father said those things. I've apologized for the situation. I've never apologized for my part in it. So I'm doing that now. She took a breath. I'm sorry I didn't defend you. I'm sorry I stood by while your father tore you down. I'm sorry I dismissed your dreams and your work. I'm sorry I made you feel like you weren't enough. Because you were always enough. You were more than enough. I just couldn't see past what I wanted you to be to appreciate who you were. I didn't say anything. I failed you as a mother. I prioritized keeping peace with your father over protecting my son. I enabled favoritism instead of fighting it. And I've spent 3 years telling myself that you were being stubborn, that you'd come around, that you'd forgive us eventually. But you don't owe us forgiveness. We don't deserve it. Then why are you here? I asked. Because even if you never forgive me, I need you to know that I see it now. I see how badly we hurt you. I see what we threw away. And I see who you've become despite us, not because of us. You're an incredible man. You're kind, you're brilliant, you're successful. And none of that has anything to do with how we raised you. You did that yourself. She stood up. That's all I came to say. I won't contact you again. But if you ever need anything, not money, I know you don't need that, but if you ever need a mother, even after everything, I'm here. She left. And I sat in my living room for an hour, staring at nothing. Here's the thing, it was a good apology. Maybe even a genuine one. But it didn't change anything. Because the damage isn't in one Christmas, one conversation, one moment. It's in a lifetime of being second best. It's in every achievement that was met with "that's nice," while Brandon's were celebrated. It's in every time I was compared unfavorably to my siblings. It's in the fundamental feeling that I was never quite good enough, never quite right, never quite what they wanted. An apology doesn't fix that. Time doesn't fix that. Even genuine remorse doesn't fix that. What fixes it is building a life where I don't need their validation. Where I'm surrounded by people who appreciate me for who I am. Where my worth isn't determined by their approval. And I've built that life. So where does that leave us? I'm not reconciling with my family. Not now, probably not ever. My father is recovering from his stroke, and I hope he does well, but I won't be part of that recovery. Brandon is questioning his life choices, and I hope he finds happiness, but it won't be with my guidance. Olivia is Olivia, and I wish her well from afar. As for my mother, I don't know. Her apology felt real. But real doesn't mean enough. Meanwhile, my life is incredible. The AI startup Derek and I invested in just got acquired. We made 10x our investment. I'm advising 3 other companies. I'm building a portfolio that will set me up for life. I'm in a serious relationship with someone who knew me when I was just guy with a startup and loves me for who I am, not what I'm worth. We're talking about getting engaged. I have friends who are family in ways my blood relatives never were. I have a life I'm proud of. I have peace. And I have no regrets about walking away from people who only wanted me once I was successful. To everyone who reached out with their own stories of family estrangement, I see you. I know how hard it is. I know the guilt, the doubt, the moments when you wonder if you're being too harsh. But here's what I've learned. You don't owe anyone a relationship just because you share DNA. You don't owe anyone forgiveness just because they've decided they're ready to apologize. And you definitely don't owe anyone access to your life just because they've finally realized what they lost. Sometimes the best thing you can do is close the door, lock it, and build a beautiful life on the other side. That's what I did. And I've never been happier.